Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. The next Wasteless War Talks are here with Bill, Kevin, and myself. We will write on the back of the language to the future. And today our term is quite long comparing to the last one. It's timelessness. And I would like to start with you, Bill, because you are on the top of my screen. If you close your eyes and you hear the term timelessness, what came first to your mind, please?
The word time does not exist. I really believe that. I believe it's a construct made by man to control other men. So timeless means the lack of time. So I relate to that. Timelessness, I think, is the lack of time, living, excuse me, living without conscious obedience to time. Timelessness is a wonderful, 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 wonderful place.
Thank you very much. And what about you, Kevin? The same term?
I was thinking about something which I've never tried but would really like to try. And that is a really, really long railway journey, maybe 4 days, 8 days, where time doesn't have any relationship at all to the journey. It is just an event all by itself. And I would love to try it.
And I think when there will be the possibility and the war will stop in Russia, because there was one of the longest trains, I think, was in Russia. The second one, I think, is from the North America to the south. Somehow there was a connection as well, I think, through entire America. I'm not sure, but Russia and there was the longest, if I do remember. So both are fascinating. You know, none of us, all of us believe that time is a construct. You know, we are not pushed by time. We are, I think, even this moment, every moment can be called timelessness. You know, because we are here, we start and 40 minutes are left and we say, oh, it cannot be possible. And it's exactly that, you know, it's exactly the train journey where time is nothing. And it's so beautiful. I think it's part of love if you get in touch and if you, from one moment, you realize there is the right one. So it's exactly that, exactly. And I'm really happy that we have it today. So it's a great feeling.
Actually, another thing which puts you into a state of timelessness is a really good book. You know, then there is no time. It's just gone. You're in another state.
Do you think that the children, when they start to play, that they live in the time of timelessness? Because they start to play and they don't know. It's day or night. They simply don't know.
But then sometime, in the middle of life, I think when we start working or when we start going to school, maybe, and then so there's a period of a number of years where we live by a schedule. We live by a schedule, and I'm retired. I do not live by a schedule. Well, I do a little bit, but I don't know what day it is. Uh, I'm talking to you guys, so it must be Wednesday. Um, but lots of times I will think to myself, is it Sunday or is it Thursday? I don't remember. And so when we're very young, we live in timelessness. I was about to say when we're very old, but I won't say that. But when we're past the keeping schedules part of our life, I love it. And I agree with the book. Or being at the beach. There's something about being at the beach that is timelessness.
I think it's closely connected to meaningfulness. You know, because it's at the moment is this meaningfulness. And as you don't want to say the old man, I think, we are young twice. One, we already is gone, but the second, we are living right. And it's so wonderful because, we have all this knowledge and experience, but we are able to put it away and become children again, walk on the beach, as you said, Bill, with the hand in the hand, the loved ones, and you walk and you just, there is no time, there is no space, there is no age. There is just one entity, and that's so wonderful.
It's interesting. A few weeks ago, I was asked as a favor if I would write a brochure for somebody. And it's been years since I've written, I think it was a 6-page brochure. So I read through all the research and everything that had to be in it. And then I sat down. And then I thought, well, I'll do it and then have breakfast afterwards. So I knocked this thing up and I thought, well, that must have taken an hour. It had taken 6 hours. It was quite remarkable. I just hadn't noticed the time going by. But I was thinking, if I did that every day, it would be such a waste of 6 hours every day.
It would be a waste?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah, because I'm sure I can find much better things to do with 6 hours than write brochures for other people.
Oh, time goes fast. Not only when you're writing a brochure, but how did I get to this age? I thought I was playing out in the backyard kickball with my brothers and sisters. What happened? Where? Just don't blink.
No,
We say that as we're walking. If we pass a young couple with a baby in a stroller, and we stop to chat with them just a minute. Just don't blink. Don't blink. They're going to be gone to college. Don't blink. They're going to be grown up, and you'll be grandparents. It goes so quickly. I think if
I
you're
guess
having fun, it goes quickly.
I didn't get you, Bill. The last sentence, I didn't get it.
I think if you're having fun, it goes quickly.
Kevin?
I was thinking it's actually really interesting that we use time as a punishment. So,
Time
no,
out.
but yeah, if you commit a crime, you're punished by having time forced upon you. You're going to have to spend 20 years in one place that we've decided, and you will do nothing for that 20 years. I mean, what a cruel punishment that is.
I think I mentioned it in one of the previous discussions. There was a science fiction, and I don't know whether it was book. I think it was book. It was not movie. And they developed, or it was just a story, and they developed a technology, computer. And if you go to the prison, they set you the helmet, and in one day, they projected this 20 years into you. Your hair gets gray, and you spend just one day in this prison. But it was like 20 days or 20 years. And it was, I do not remember the rest of the story, but that was the point. And I think, we are very close to that because we are being set these goggles and everything, and people stop to eat, stop to do things. I just read yesterday or today in the morning, probably. I read a very interesting study from Iceland. The people in Iceland, the children in Iceland, has been they have the biggest number of addicts to cigarettes and drugs in 80s. It was the highest number in the world. And then the government and the scientists and whoever came with the idea that to get addicted, you have to enjoy the addiction. So you have to have a fun with the cigarette and so on. And they start to thought, okay, so what if we offer to the children a different fun? And they started systematically, not to push, but to, let's say, give the opportunity to sport, art, paintings, and so on. 40 years, it took 40 years. And today, according to this study, Iceland is the country with the lowest number of smoking children and adults, of course, and drugs. But it took 40 years to implement this new mindset of having fun with something different than just a cigarette or whatever. So it was quite interesting. And if you imagine, if we go this way by all the people in Russia, in the world, there will be no war because war is no fun. You know, it's quite interesting study. I just thought about it, it was quite deep. And it is exactly about the point of being conscious, being in this game, in this wonderful timelessness, which brings you a joy. And that's I think that's the right thing. Because both of you live in a marriage where it's timeless. You know, it's so different. It's so different, your relationship.
Actually, Michael, just goes back to this idea. I think it would be a far better punishment, as a punishment, to take 20 years off of somebody. Because what happens to criminals is they're given 20 years. And that's a far worse punishment as far as I'm concerned.
You know, if there will be such a helmet, I can tell you, I lost, let's call it lost, the memories for 18 years. And I do remember that. So if there is a criminal who make a crime, and if I erase his memory or her memory, will he be or she be the criminal? Maybe not. You know, if there is the technology which can really influence that, I will probably try this way because I don't think we are born as criminals. There is a lot of influences, society, whatever, money, and a lot of influences. And I think it can be one of the ways of curing, but I do not want to apply any cure in this way. I would like people live according to that. So exactly how they did it in Islam. So having the opportunity, understanding what is the meaningfulness, what is the joy, what is everything around us. And you know what I am asking myself during this discussion? What about the animals? What about the trees and stones and everything here? Is there what they live? Is this timelessness? You know, for stone, 100 years and what? Many trees.
I think nature doesn't use time, but it uses cycles.
That's so interesting discussion today. And we have the same very interesting in the noontime.
So I'm thinking about your Iceland story study. And I'm thinking when I was growing up in the 50s and 60s, smoking was shown as a very mature and sexy habit. I remember seeing pretty women smoking, and I thought, "Oh, that's sexy." And I blame my fellow marketing professionals for doing that, and there was just such an allure, an attraction that was built around doing that, and everybody smoked. When in the 70s, I remember my first big job, and we did a lot of work with the military, especially the military folks all smoked. because it was made to look fun or attractive. And so what do we need to make look attractive to have a better society? Treating people well, loving, laughing. And if we could just put our marketing talents to that, we could solve almost anything, couldn't we? If we make war look bad, make arguments, make fighting, shooting look bad. So right now we have our grandchildren live a mile from here, and they love things like laser tag. And their dad does not mind taking them to a place where they strap on the jackets and I said to him once, and I'm not going to say it to him again, but in a time when our children go to school and practice lockdowns, active shooter drills, what's wrong with this picture? So if we can, so the marketing people need to sell the attraction of hugs and the attraction of getting along with each other and quit selling laser tag.
You know, Bill, the issue with that, it will be great. The issue with that, they cannot make the price tag for a hug. Nikola Tesla have wireless technology 100 years ago. Why it's not marketed? Not because it does not work, because they don't know how to charge what's for free. If you look at the delay with the solar panels, the solar panels has been developed 1880 is the first patent, I think. It took 120 years or even more till the adoption. And even now you see how they are struggling again because they have big problem. The sun is giving us for free the light and the energy, and they have a problem. And that's, I think this is why, and the marketing people are paid from sales or potential sales, let's call it so. It's not all the time the sales. Kevin?
Yeah, I think that it's just a symptom of something much more serious, and that is that the government want us to fight each other. The less we're united, the more we're divided. You know, we have gender wars, we have race wars, we have, you know, the English government couldn't even define what a woman was last year. It is just so ridiculous. But this stuff is fed into our society to keep us fighting each other so we don't notice what is really going on. And so, you know, we're set up, if there's any issue that could be made into a war, it'll be made into one. And it's because we're being manipulated by governments and giants to be at each other's throats.
I believe that. I believe that. Do you remember that cartoon with the king on top of the castle and down below are all the peasants with pitchforks and torches, and his advisor says to him, we don't have to worry about anything. We just have to convince the pitchfork people that the torch people are the enemies. And the easiest thing to sell is fear and greed. Look at America. Look where we are now. Fear and greed.
You know, it's quite interesting. When I speak about time, usually I show I have no watch and so on. I explain how time become my friend. And many people say, but we need the watch. We need the alarm clock. We need it. And I say all the time, try without. How easy it is to take it out. How easy it is for one day. Today in the morning, I read quite interesting article from Spain, I think, where Spain is facing, I think today was the not blackout, but it was data blackout. So they have some troubles with the connections and so on. So it was in the morning, probably repaired already. And in this article was written, and it was interesting, that some of the countries are already trying not online banking, but offline banking. If something like that happened, still to be able to process, to accept the card, to make the payment, I think it's quite interesting direction, because the disconnection will happen more and more frequently. So you can have jammers, you can have a lot of things which generally crash the networks. Global, but on a local way, I think it's quite interesting direction. I never heard about it before, offline banking, but in some way, when we have been young, everything has been offline banking. We didn't use the card. We use the coins and banknotes and I don't know what. But they are trying to combine digital and non-digital in a way that it will serve like the banknotes. No more details. It was just a short article, but I find it interesting. Several countries should already investigate about. And last time we spoke with Paloma, we spoke about AI, a lot of and so on. Look how dependent any computer, any digital device, any AI is on time. If you will eliminate the time, it will be not able to work, because they process according to the time, 1 billion operation per second. Have you seen the Rubik Cube challenge? The fastest by robot? 0.103 milliseconds. You do not blink, and it's ready. It's University of Penn in the US. University, it doesn't matter. And they have to rebuild the cube, the Rubik Cube. They rebuilt it, they printed the parts and so on, because it was so fast that it exploded during the test. So they have to rebuild it. And really, it's a new Guinness record. University of Purdue
University.
Yes, there the students make it new world record last week. So I think that if someone would like to get the computers out of the way, just take away the time, and they will collapse. They will not be able to operate without the time. We are. And nature is.
I saw this thing, and I can't explain it, which is why it did actually come top of mind when you asked about timelessness, but I don't understand it enough. But apparently at the bottom of a black hole, they do apparently have bottoms. That is timelessness. There is no time at the bottom of a black hole. Nothing ever happens. Nothing moves.
That's a wonderful thought, so deep one. I never thought about it. I was thinking that on the end is another end, but not.
No, apparently it has a bottom to it.
How do they know?
That was my question as well.
Yeah, not only how do they know, how can they explain it?
Today in the morning, there was in the news that one of very promoted sustainability company became an object. And it was from the very beginning object. They get just funding 100 million and so on, no results. And just now, they realize there are no results. I told them 10 years ago, but nobody was listening. And you know what is the greatest part about it? The lady who found this project, she is the head of No Greenwashing Initiative in my country.
Wonderful.
I think we already reached the bottom of the black hole, and that's right. Exactly that state of not moving anything.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing happens, nothing moves.
So very interesting. And how do you like how AI is assigning the pictures to? I sent it to you last week. You know, we have Hitler, we have who was there? Gorbachev, we have Pope, and they just assign one picture. I do not listen again to our conversations, you know, but when you go to details, there is all the time that we spoke about someone and so on, and they are signed. The interesting part of us was to which theme the person was assigned. Because, for example, I think Pope was assigned to hubris. And I think George Orwell, and that was the only one which I did understand, was assigned to chaos or something similar to that. I do not remember the term. But the other two completely misleading. I think Hitler was game, and I don't remember. It's 1 week ago. Yes.
Mike,
yep.
was it you who was talking about the Chinese Easter card?
Chinese what?
Or was it somebody else? Maybe it was another friend of mine. It was an Easter card sent from China. And it must have been another friend of mine. She received an Easter card from China. And it was a picture of Father Christmas nailed to a cross.
Combination, you know, they are very.
Yeah, it was close anyway.
I just read and they make a review of some high quality Chinese car, and they said, you know, if you sit inside, you sit in Mercedes. If you go around, you are in a Land Rover. If you look from the back, you are in Skoda, and so on. So it was quite fascinating.
Michael, you usually have a noontime discussion on the same topic. Was that today? And were there any interesting parts of the discussion that came up today?
Yes, the very interesting part was that this discussion wake up a lot of memories in some people. And they said, for example, Dr. Ash or Leslie, they said, I probably never told to anyone. And it wake up this memory. And for example, Dr. Ash, who is living in Pakistan, he was born in the UK, but living in Pakistan, he said, I need a time measurements devices around me. I am very accurate and so on. And he said, when I was younger, I have a clock in every room of the house, including bathroom and bathroom. And he said, and when I met my wife, she said, why do you have it? Why do you have a clock? And it was she was eliminating one by one. But with this elimination, he learned how to work with the time. He feel it today. He still needed a clock. But his relation, I call it the relationship with time, become different. And that's exactly, I have this experiment in the school with waste. You have a school class, you have one garbage bin there, and it's full every day. If you put 2 there, the next day, both will be full. If you put 3, all 3 will be full. But the interesting part is after that. After for few weeks, all 3 are full, you take 2 away. And the one, only for 1 or 2 days will overflow. But the 3rd day, it will be enough. That's the interesting play with the memory, maybe with everything, with the psychology. And this is what generally the waste companies use. Give you the close as possible the garbage bin, so you throw away. You don't think about it. And the same is with time. You know, we are having time in our mobile phone. We are having it everywhere. In the TV, if you look in the computer right now, I see it on the screen. So it's very hard to work without if you are around these. But still, I don't look at them. Every single clock here in my office, and I have few of them here, usually design clocks, not a single one has a battery. And that's the nicest part. You know, in the old times, You don't need battery. But today, just take the battery out. And we are there.
Actually, the other day, I was watching this really interesting talk by a neurologist, and he was explaining that when we sleep, our bodies sleep, and he said it's a mistake to separate mind from soul. So he called it our unconscious or whatever, our soul. He said the soul never sleeps. It will never die, and it will never sleep. And if you think, if you're a soul which doesn't sleep, you have no need of time at all, because time has no hold on you. There is no time.
That's so well expressed. So well, so simple and so well expressed. You know, I just have the opportunity last week to meet again the man who erased my memory. He's a doctor. He is 80. He is still very popular in my country, and he, for a long time, he does not do the white hypnosis anymore, because probably he has learned that he did not manage it well. But I have the opportunity to meet him. I asked him a few questions. I didn't ask about this, you know, but I asked him a few questions, and maybe I will speak with him. But let's see. But it was quite interesting. So I met him after 36 years or something like that, and still remember him. But it's very interesting about the soul, as you mentioned it, because I have seen this week, I think, someone make this, how is this, if you go in the computer tomography or whatever, some of these technologies, and they scan dead body, and they really realize there is some reaction which they cannot explain. Electromagnetic fields, whatever, and they say, exactly as you said, there is something which does not die. There is something which maybe go away, maybe go into someone else, maybe change the shape, whatever. They cannot explain, but there is something. There is
something. And I'm pretty sure in the afterlife, we have absolutely no need for time at all.
Right.
It just won't be there.
You know, it will be very interesting if we do not cut the electricity away, if we do not cut the data away, but if we stop all clocks. What will happen? Will there be a chaos? Maybe for 1 day, 2 days? But then the people get used to it. You know, there was Mariana, and she said, we have in our city very famous sundial of some writer and so on. And do you know there exists a moon dial? It's a very special clock, moon dial. It really exists. It's very rare. And of course, you can see the time only if there is the moon on the sky, but it exists. I learned about it quite a long time ago. I read about it somewhere. But it's quite interesting, you know, because these devices just need a shadow. And you don't need to go to this device if you know how it works, because your shadow will become the time. You will become the time indicator. If you just need to stay in the right direction, that's all what you need. So I think timelessness is fascinating topic. And I'm very happy no scientists dig inside. Maybe religions, not sure. Some of them probably, but I even think that even them, they need some, let's call it regulations and some understanding, deep understanding. We don't need it. You know, we talk about it and it's so fascinating. So fascinating.
It's like, you know, Stonehenge, when they found out that Stonehenge marks positions in the sky at a certain time of year, and they called it a calendar. But you know, they knew the date, they knew the time without having to build this stone monument to show them what they knew every day. It is a celebration of an event, which is completely different from measuring time.
You know, when I was a boy, I drew my dream house, and it was like an igloo. and in the middle was glass stripe. And this glass stripe was matching with the sun in especially one exact day. Only on this day it will cut through the house. That was my idea. And I was a boy, so it was just a crazy thing. But that was my image of a dream house that at one moment in the year, only one, it will unite in some way. We have 3 minutes 40.
So I think that you mentioned religion. Religion needs time because religion is just people trying to control other people. I think.
I think for the religion especially is very important the moment of death. Because some of the religion says after that, after this moment, you can go to hell or to the somewhere else. And that's the fear which you have mentioned, Bill. That's the fear. Behave according to our rules, not to logic, to our rules. And if you change the religion, the rules become different. And it's strange
Right.
because it should be human all the time. But I don't think it is about humanity. It is about not even leading people. It's about misleading people and letting them do what you want them to do. These are the people with the torch and with the forks.
Yeah, and there's a big difference between offering moral guidance and manipulating behavior. And I'm pretty sure the church is in the latter category these days, or in fact, the last 400 years.
You know, I was just reading just before we started how Elon Musk is buying back the Cybertrucks. Have you read it? The people waited 5 more years than they should wait. They paid 100,000 US dollars and more. And after 1 year, he offered they will buy it back for 63.
But why? Why does he want them back? Does he just want them out of circulation?
Probably because he even stopped the production and so on. He never explained, he never explained. But the buyback scheme is right now, it was published by someone in the US. I bought it for 100. They offer me right now 63. It's a great deal. Okay.
That's a good deal. And then, and so he saved 34,000 dollars on each one.
It's unbelievable, but it's the last minute, and I would like to thank you for the great wastelessness discussion. And have a nice time, free of waste and wasting in all its forms. Stay safe, be free and be human, and be as happy as you are today. Thanks a lot. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.